All right. What is up, Denver Queen? Are you ready for another exciting podcast?
I sure am. Just a moment while I put the do not disturb thing on my
Yeah,
phone thingy so it doesn't.
I've got that already on. I'll go on and do a quick
Mhm.
intro. Hello, everybody. This is
Mhm.
Blind Metal Gamer. Welcome to another episode of The Blind Side with Denver Queen. Tonight, we have a very special episode for you, all you retro game fans out there that had a Nintendo 64. This is your night. Because tonight we're discussing the Nintendo 64. We're going to share our favorite memories of the console, our favorite games, and what we think should be on a Nintendo 64 Classic if they ever release it. So, Denver
Mm.
Queen, are you ready to get started?
Let's get started, shall we?
All right. The Nintendo 64 was released here in the U.S. on September 29th, 1996, so it will be 24 years old this year. The game that came packed in with it, I'm sure you remember this too, Denver Queen, was Super Mario 64.
You know what? I don't remember the 64 version of Super Mario, but I do remember Super Mario, period. And my first memories as a child were playing video games with my dad, actually. And I think it was a regular Nintendo way back in like 1990 or so.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was my first. Oh God. Okay. You know, Super Mario 64 came with the system. That was the pack-in game. And I'm gonna kind of tell the story of how I got my Nintendo 64. I think you're gonna get a good laugh, and everybody who might be listening or who will be listening is gonna get a good laugh on this. I was about 13, and I had really wanted. I'd seen the commercials for it. I had, played it at friends' houses, and I wanted one. So one weekend, me and my mother, my brother, and a bunch of his buddies, we rented the Nintendo 64 from a place called Movie Warehouse, and I think it was like $200 or $300 to rent it because
What?
you had to get this. Yeah, that's what it was because it was like, you had to get this. You got the system, two controllers, a carrying case.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I know. You don't even own the thing, and you have to pay that much, and you would get your game,
Right?
right? So we got Super Mario 64, and we just had it for the weekend, and we played it. We jammed on it, and we just totally tore it up. So it was the weekend before my birthday. I was like, oh my God, I would love to have one of these. Oh my God, oh my God. I was just amazed at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was amazed. I was like, oh my God. So we had to take it back that Sunday. You know how that goes. You have to, do that when you rent the thing or whatever. So for a few days, I was kind of going through some N64 withdrawal.
Oh no.
I wanted that thing in the worst way. So fast forward, my birthday gets here, right? My 14th birthday, and this was a big deal, a teenager, got to have something cool as a teenager,
Yeah.
And so we do my family was there, my friends were there, and I get this really big box.
Wow.
I didn't know what was in the box. I opened it up. It was my very own Nintendo 64. I had a blue. Yeah, I know. I was like, oh shit, my own. I had a blue, and I wanted, and Mom got me a blue controller, and the second controller was gray. Because I wanted UK, I wanted blue and white. So blue and gray, So I had that, and I got Super Mario 64, and I literally hit the roof. Then my dad and stepmom got me Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
What?
Yes, Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the N64. I loved it. I played Mortal Kombat most of the night.
Wow.
I ditched Mario till the next day. I didn't care about Mario. I wanted my Mortal Kombat, so I had to have that. So, did you ever play any Nintendo 64 growing up? And if so, what was your favorite game?
I think the only game I ever really ended up playing on Nintendo 64 was okay. It was a display at Best Buy, and I was just fiddling around with the controller. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember, but my brother was like, "Oh God, Beth, what are you doing?" And I was like, "What?"
Those jank control. I know they had the three handles and
Other weird things, I swear.
yeah, they all four of the C buttons, see up, down. It's
Mm.
like they were diagonal. So up was top right, down was bottom left, left was upper left, and right was lower right. It's like, why couldn't you just use a
A
stick? Why didn't
joystick.
Nintendo? Yeah, they got it right with the GameCube, but you could have gotten that right with the N64
No
too.
way.
That would have been a lot easier.
Oh.
Yeah. Then you had your
Mhm.
L and R button and a Z button on the back for your trigger, and you had your start button, you had your analog stick, and you had your D-pad and your A and B buttons.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I still remember
Oh.
this like the back of my hand. And then I remember very specifically. I would rent games from a video store in my town called Movie Warehouse,
Mm.
and every weekend I would rent. You know, um, I remember renting. I believe it was The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time when that came
Oh
out. I
no.
remember.
You
Yeah.
just
Oh
made me think.
yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
was the game I was fooling around with on the Nintendo 64, and I didn't
Yeah.
even realize I was doing it. And honestly, I'm not really a big. I was never able to play Ocarina of Time, but somebody blind. And this is something else. I have
Mhm.
an ex
Mhm.
boyfriend named Philip. He's a real sweetheart. But he told me,
Mhm.
"Oh, I know the guy who plays Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda, and he's blind and he beat the game." And I'm like, "What?"
Oh yeah. I beat that with my. It was me. I remember I rented it one
Yeah.
weekend. I rented a plethora of good N64 games. GoldenEye 64,
Oh.
Mario Kart 64. I remember renting, oh my god, the WWF games on N64, which
Oh.
I would eventually own. Warzone and WWF Attitude. Love those.
Wow.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was envious of whenever I had my N64 version of Warzone, whenever I would rent it, Mom would re rent it so I wouldn't have to take it back so I could keep playing.
Oof.
Because she knew I loved it. Then Christmas of 1999, I got it for Christmas that year
You got your own copy of that game.
of Warzone.
Wow,
Of Warzone,
Warzone.
and then,
Mm.
but see, then WWF Attitude came along. I bought that game
Mm.
outright because I just had to have it. I rented it, and then I had to have it, so I bought
Mm.
that. And back then, I wasn't, I had no I had to just save up the money really slowly
Oh,
to get the
oh,
game.
I
So
know
it
how
was
that goes.
like,
Like when you're a teenager, you gotta save up the money
yeah.
so slowly.
I
And
yeah. See,
like,
back then, I was working at school
mm-hmm.
at the school I went to. We had a work program,
Yeah.
so the work program offered me a chance to save up money to buy the games I
Mm-hmm.
wanted. So WWF Attitude, I saved up for. Mortal Kombat 4, I saved up for that one.
Wow.
I remember WCW NWO Revenge, WCW NWO World Tour.
Oh.
Oh my God. WWF WrestleMania 2000, which I got for Christmas in the year 2000.
Wow.
My late brother, God rest his soul, he was like, "This one's also yours." I opened it,
Mm-hmm.
my jaw hit the floor. I was like, "Oh my God." It was WrestleMania 2000. I couldn't believe it. It was the one I had,
Mm.
and then we went and played it,
Aw.
and he just totally beat my ass at it. But we had fun. That was back. See, that was the fun back in
Mhm.
those days, man. Local multiplayer.
Mhm.
Today you have online and you have
Fortnite, and you have PlayStation, and you have
yeah, yeah, an Xbox and PlayStation
oh.
Network and streaming on YouTube and Twitch, which I do partake in.
Mhm.
But back in the day, you didn't have none of that. Like I remember, like today, the kids of today, they get a game, right?
Yeah.
You get it, they patch it, and they'll fix it. Like if it's broken,
Yeah.
back in our day,
Mm.
you bought it, you pop it in. If it was broke, that's what you got.
Right.
You
Hmm.
didn't get the opportunity to have it patched or updated, which was really jank because
Hmm.
there was a lot of those N64 games that
D-
could have been. I remember a game, I think it was called Dual Heroes.
hmm.
I bought it without thinking. I thought it would be a good fighting game. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
there, honestly, I have seen from, I think Mojo Plays and Watch Mojo has a really great selection of
Hmm.
videos about N64 and other game consoles and the gameplay. They
Yes.
go into so much
Yes.
detail about the
I
gameplay of so
know.
many of the
I
games, and
mean,
they're like, and
I
they are
know. I know. Oh,
seriously,
I
they are
know.
correct in saying that a certain game might be impossible to play, but now they also have,
Yeah.
today they have lots and lots of
Emulators.
emulators, but then they have,
Yeah, you could.
but then Watch Mojo talks about like all the best games for all the different consoles that are out now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
I remember, let's see, a game called Hybrid Heaven. I didn't own that one, I only rented it.
Hmm.
I remember Doom 64, which I covered in a previous podcast, which I probably own today on modern
Hmm.
consoles. I remember, let's see, Perfect Dark. Do you remember
No.
that one? I played that at a friend. I rented it and I played it at a friend's house.
Mm.
Oh my god, I never owned that one, but when I learned that Microsoft had
Mm.
bought Rare and that
Mm.
it was going to be an Xbox exclusive, I was like, what? You know,
Yeah,
that
that's
was like,
so weird,
oh my
and
god,
it's.
like Killer Instinct.
Hmm.
Okay, Killer
Yeah.
Instinct. I remember the first Christmas that I had my N64 in
Hmm.
1996. My family was giving me this really hard time of, oh, blind metal gamer, you need to ask for more adult things. You need to be more of an adult. You're a teenager now. You don't need, but they were just riding me and riding me and riding me
Oh.
because
Hmm.
they knew what they had got me for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I opened up the box. It was Killer Instinct Gold.
Killer Instinct Gold.
Yes, yes. It wasn't a straight port of Killer Instinct 2. It was just a. It had some enhancements
Oh
to it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
really want to learn how to play Killer Instinct on my. If we get an Xbox, Trenton says he wants to teach me to play Killer Instinct. Oh
Oh
my
my God.
god.
I will envy Denver Queen. I will envy you forever if you get an Xbox because when I found out Killer Instinct was going to be an Xbox
Uh.
exclusive, I was not happy
Oh.
because that was the one fighting game that when I had my N64, that was the first major fighting game I got next to Mortal Kombat.
Duh.
And when I got that, and when I found out it was going to be Xbox exclusive, I was like, "What? Oh my god!" So
Mm.
yeah, so I got Killer Instinct Gold for
Hmm.
Christmas. I mean, and again, me and my late brother and all our friends would just play it and take turns with it, and I would always whine and cry whenever I'd get beat.
Oh,
And
doesn't everybody
yeah,
whine and cry when they get their ass beat? Oh
yeah,
my
oh yeah,
god.
oh yeah. Yeah, I remember like with the whole, within multiplayer,
Mhm.
it was a good social thing too. I remember, it could be a good social activity. You could just invite all your
And then
buddies
have a
over and,
nice little game fest. You're sitting around the game console
yeah, and
playing
have
games.
yeah, have your favorite
And
beverages and
yeah, and play
snacks and
games. Yeah,
yeah, just
that's
have a good
exactly what
time.
my
And
brother used to do. And I would,
yeah, like that's what we
yeah,
would
my
do,
my
and
brothers actually, they had a Halo
in our
Fest.
own way.
I went to a Relay for
Oh
Life
my
to do a
god.
cancer walk for some people that died that I knew from
Mhm.
cancer.
Mhm.
But there went my brother Danny and my brother Tommy. They're staying at home. I'm sitting there going, "Why in the world are you guys playing Halo? You guys are how old? And you're playing Halo?"
Yeah, like yeah, but see, I got that flack back in the day. Like that again, the school
Mhm.
I went, they didn't get. It was a school
Mhm.
for the blind, so I
Mhm.
lived there. So they didn't get there in '64 until like
What?
1999, maybe. Yeah, they waited like 3 years to get it,
Mm.
and so we would all at the school whenever they would have
Mhm.
it out. we would take full advantage and just play the crap out of it.
Yeah.
But see, I had everybody in the school had a N64 not everybody, but all the gamers would have an N64 at their house. And I remember a buddy of mine, I would go to his house, and that's how like I said, got introduced to Perfect Dark, and we played GoldenEye. And do you remember a game called Mace the Dark Age?
Do I remember what?
Mace the Dark Age.
I'm afraid not.
Okay, I remember again. That was a game I rented, but I never bought it, and I regret that because that was a good. It was a decent fighter, but I wish they would do a remake of it and put it on modern hardware. Oh my god!
Oh god!
Yeah, they're doing remakes of all these old classics. Mace the Dark Age needs to be remade. There's a lot of old N64 games that need to come back. On like modern hardware. I heard that they're going to be remastering like Super Mario 64 and all that for the Switch, which is good.
Oh my god, yes.
I know, right? But one game that I never rented or I never owned. Do you remember that Conker's Bad Fur Day?
Conker's what?
Bad
Fur Day. What?
Yes. It was originally going to be called Conker 64. It was going to be all cutesy and kitty friendly and all that and all the fluffiness and all the goody two shoe family friendly gaming for everyone.
Yeah.
But then they scrapped that and took it in a whole new direction, akin to South Park.
Park?
Popular shows at the time. And this squirrel, Denver Queen, just go listen to some YouTube videos of Conker 64. Not Conker Live and Reloaded. Not that. Not the Xbox.
Conker, but the Conker 64 Bad Hair Day.
Right.
Bad Fur Day.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. It was so vulgar, you had to be 18, I think, to rent it. And buy it. Yeah. It had profanity, violence, sexual content, although you couldn't see it, but you could pretty much figure it out by the audio.
Oh god.
That was the one of the, I never owned it,
and
I never played it because at the time I didn't want to take a chance on playing something that again the school might have found to be corrupting or whatever. Again, that was a mistake that I made because I just have heard so much about it. Again, it's a Microsoft property now, so I deserve a good hand smack for that. But yeah, let's see. What other games did I play on the N64? Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Ooh, I think Trenton might have heard of both that and Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina. Me and my late father played Ocarina of Time. So I had to go to his home on certain weekends. I'd take the Nintendo, bring Zelda, and we would just stay up playing Zelda. That's how me and him bonded. That's no joke. I will never, in my, that franchise, although I may not have a Nintendo console today, but I always am going to have a soft spot for the Zelda franchise because my father and I bonded over it. That's how we kind of bonded.
That is a wonderful way to, I would think that, if it was like, if I was a boy and my dad was like, hey, let's play video games together, I think it would have been nice if I had well, I'm a girl, but if I had a bio dad, if I find out that he'd been staying up late playing video games with his own son, that wouldn't bother me much at all because, what do guys like to do anyway?
Well, some girls, I got a member, I'm not going to name drop, but I got a member in my family that she just loves the video games.
Oh, my.
Yeah. But, then let's see. Other games that I didn't own on the Yoshi Story, I remember playing that at a buddy's house, but I never owned it. That was a really messed up, there were different colored Yoshis, and you could play as each colored Yoshi had different abilities.
Hey, did you ever
and
play
different
Donkey Kong?
Yes, I did play Donkey Kong 64. And the gimmick to that was you had an expansion pack to get everything in.
God.
They included they sold the expansion pack with it.
Weird.
Yeah, it was like, okay. But my favorite games of all time. I also forgot Duke Nukem 64, the gimped version of Duke
The
Nukem.
gimped version of Duke Nukem. What?
Yes, they had to censor it. Nintendo ordered them to censor a lot of the content on the N64 version that was not on that was on the PC version, and it may have been released on PlayStation. I'm not
I
sure,
don't know, but
but
I do know that a lot of
they
times American games are censored because
no, no, no.
um
Well, this was because remember Nintendo had a very family friendly image
oh, that's
back then.
that's true. Okay.
They had it, so okay, they had to make a compromise. You can be M-rated for your blood and gore,
Mhm.
but the
Mhm.
women, the scantily clad women,
Mhm.
the way your health
Mhm.
pickups, they had to modify them from I believe it was steroids to
Oh
vitamins.
dear.
There was
Mhm.
I'll just say a adult entertainment club
Oh.
in the game. They had to gimp that for a movie
Oh
theater.
God.
Yeah, I know, right? Gag me with a
Gag me
spoon.
with a
And
spoon.
then
That was like
and then a lot of his one-liners were like toned down
oh,
or
God,
changed
spare me.
because remember, Nintendo has to be you have to be good for Nintendo or oh God, yeah, you have to behave for them.
Yeah.
So then
Mhm.
let's see, we had Duke Nukem, we had let's see, Killer Gold, War Gods, which that game was just Mortal Kombat 4 with the
Mm.
out the Mortal Kombat branding, kind of a
Mm.
type of game.
Mm.
Let's see what other games did I play. Oh yeah, the Castlevanias, Castlevania 64, and then
Hmm.
Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. Fun
Mhm.
fact: Castlevania 64 was originally going to be Legacy of Darkness,
Mhm.
but they didn't have enough time to put all the content
Oh.
in, so they had to get it out by Christmas of '98, and then
Mhm.
in the following year they released Legacy of
Mhm.
Darkness, which added in the content that was going to be in the original,
Now,
which was
may I
amazing. But
ask,
I mean,
is
I
the
owned both. What's up?
Castlevania? You said Castlevania. Now I'm thinking that show Castlevania. Mhm.
Yeah, this was on the Nintendo 64.
Right, but was that particular
Um,
source material what was adapted
was it
into
canon?
canon in the show?
Uh,
No.
no. No, 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 no,
Okay.
no, no. I don't
No.
think.
Well,
I
or
don't.
I
Be what?
said Castlevania. That's all.
Uh,
Uh-oh.
yeah, that's what the name of the game was called, Castlevania. Just Castlevania. And then there was like, but I own both versions, so you know,
Oh,
just because. And then
man.
there was ECW Hardcore Revolution. Do you remember that game?
Oh.
Denver Queen. Do you remember ECW
ECW
Hardcore
Heart.
Revolution?
No. Uh-uh.
That game got a lot of flack because it was just WWF
Oh,
Attitude with
whoa,
ECW paint over it,
whoa.
the ECW branding. That's all it was. The only thing that really set it apart was the language is ramped up for
Oh,
the big
boy.
boys. But it was funny. I remember getting the game and popping it in. You would think they would have a mature line. It was just everyone and teen. They didn't even switch the
Mhm.
Nintendo version to mature. The PlayStation version had a
Oh,
mature
dear.
language setting. So I could see the parents that got
Uh-oh.
that for their kids. They would see the big M on the box,
Mhm.
thinking it might be a mistake. They see the game, popped in action. Everyone or teen, oh,
Mhm.
this can't be bad. They sent it to teen, and it's saying the things it says, and it's
Mhm.
saying all this stuff, and
Yeah, you
huh,
disconnected on me. You disconnected on me, Blind Metal
mm-hmm.
Gamer. Unfortunately.
Oh,
Mhm.
weird. But yeah, they
Mhm.
basically that was a big thing. I owned that. Yeah, I bought Castlevania and ECW,
Mhm.
Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, and
Wow, you
ECW
have
the
an
same
entire
day.
library of games that you played and stuff. Sounds like you had a whole lot of fun with that.
Oh
Mm.
yeah. And then let's see, Christmas of
Oh
1999, Resident
God,
Evil
Resident
2.
Evil. Oh
That was
dear.
a game. I rented that game, wanted it, Christmas of that year, got it. Had to thank my late dear
Oh
old dad for that
wow.
one. So I got it and I started playing it, and oh my god. And then let's see. I'm gonna say my favorite N64 game of all time would have to
Mm-hmm.
be, and this is just my own personal opinion, um, the
Oh,
WWF
I
No
know
Mercy.
why. I know exactly why.
Guess,
Wrestling.
guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only that, but it had a really good fight, a good engine. It was just a very good concept,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fleshed out. But then when it came to that was my favorite multiplayer game of all time. Now my favorite single player
Mm-hmm.
N64 game of all time would have to be a toss up between Doom 64, which was unique, and GoldenEye because I have fond memories of those. Now my favorite fighting game, my favorite fighting game
Mm-hmm.
of all time on the N64,
Wow.
Killer Instinct Gold. You're probably thinking, why didn't you say Mortal Kombat? Well, in that instance, well, Killer Instinct Gold was original
Mm.
content. It was original,
Yeah, I'm sure the gameplay
all
was
that
good too.
stuff. Oh yeah, just go look at videos on it. You'll be like, oh my
Wow.
god. Um, then let's see. My least favorite game was Dual Heroes.
Okay.
That game totally sucked. It
Yeah.
sucked big time. So Denver Queen, what were your
Well,
favorite
like I
N64 games of
said,
all
the only
time?
games I messed around with on video was Mario, and I uh
Mm.
I never played with the N64 as much, but I did play with the Wii when that came out. My cousins got the Wii in Jacksonville, and I
Oh
got my
yeah.
ass beat by one of my
Hmm.
cousins when we were doing a Wii bowling session, and it was so pitiful. Ugh.
Mm. I couldn't get into Wii. As soon as I went from
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo 64 to PlayStation 2,
Oh yeah.
that was what did it. That was what did it
Mm-hmm.
ended my Nintendo gaming
Forever.
for just
Yeah, I
all
get
that
it.
time. It ended, yeah, because PlayStation was the more adult brand. It was the more
Well,
mature
yeah,
brand.
and you've also been a big advocate for accessibility in the gaming world. And I was actually going to have you on my
Yeah.
podcast talking about that later
Um.
on, cuz I want to
Oh,
I got to
definitely.
come up with interview topics that we can do, like little casual topics we can do for my podcast and stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
like, I think you should
Oh
probably
yeah.
come on and discuss game accessibility at some point this week. Hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
we can do. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. We can figure it out. But yeah. And then let's see. One game I wish that like I always begged for this to come out on Nintendo 64.
Final
Final Fantasy.
Fantasy?
We
Mm. Oh.
Yes, we never got it. Turns out Final Fantasy
Mhm.
7 was going to be an N64 game, but they switched over to the PlayStation because of the CD
Ugh.
technology.
Oh, I know.
I know, right?
Actually, Final Fantasy has some good music too, so. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. But, so yeah, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
round it out with this. If you okay, the in you've
Yeah.
seen the mini consoles that came out, right? The NES Classic, SNES Classic,
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation Classic, Sega Genesis Classic,
Mm-hmm.
TurboGrafx 16 Classic. Notice one
Xbox?
console that's missing? Nope.
Uh oh.
Nintendo 64 Classic.
Mm-hmm.
There's no N64 Classic on the market yet. Now I want to ask you this, based on what you've heard tonight, if you had to, we'll do some fan booking. If you had to pick the games for the N64
Okay,
Classic,
I
which would
would
you put on there?
pick at least one of the Mario games, a Donkey Kong game, a Zelda game, and a fighting game. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would have to be. God, this is gonna be hard. I'd probably pick Doom. Oh,
That's
never
not a
mind.
fighting
Okay,
game.
I
That's a
didn't. I
first
don't know
person
what to do.
shooter.
Okay, so maybe I could add. Let's add another one. So I picked Doom for my first person shooter. Doom 64, and then I
Okay,
would
Doom
pick
64.
for my fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I'll leave that one up to you because I don't play fighting games.
All right,
This
all
is.
right. All right. If you want, I can
Mm-hmm,
kind of take this part of the thing. Okay.
mm-hmm,
If I had to pick what
mm-hmm,
games would be on an N64 Classic, it would be as follows: Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Doom 64, GoldenEye 64, Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, Castlevania 64, um,
ooh.
Jet Force Gemini. Um, I would have um, let's see, Killer Instinct
Oh,
Gold.
I should have put that one in
Um,
there.
yeah,
Mm-hmm,
Killer Instinct Gold. I would have Pilot Wing 64. You gotta
mm-hmm.
have that. I would have let's see. Uh, let's see what else. Um, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, The Legend of Zelda:
Oh,
Ocarina of
definitely
Time.
those. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
gotta have those. I would have let's see, Wave Race
Mm-hmm.
64, Conker's
I'll
Bad
have to
Fur
check that
Day.
video out if I get a video of that.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Then I would have let's see, what else would I have on there? There was one game. What was the name of it? Shoot, I cannot remember it for the life of me. Oh yeah, I would have WWF No
Oh
Mercy.
yeah.
Which, if now granted, if you could get the license, which I doubt WWE
Oh.
would permit that. So you can't get WWF No Mercy for licensing or none of the WCW games
Oh.
because of them stinking licenses. I know, I know,
Mm-hmm.
I know. But I would get War
Ooh.
Gods. I would put War Gods. I would put let's see, Resident Evil 2.
Ooh.
I would put Dark Rift.
Ooh.
You probably never heard of that. Dark
Okay.
Rift, another fighting game, which was weird. I remember that game. You would play it, and the screen would turn black and white.
Oh, that no wonder they called it Dark Rift.
I know, right? Yeah, that I would put. Let's see, what would I put on there? Else would I put on there? I would put Beetle Adventure Racing,
Mm.
Cruising USA, Cruising World, and Lamborghini 64,
Oh.
or whatever that Lamborghini game was on the
Mm-hmm.
64. And then for the like for and then let's see if I could put it on there. John Madden Football 96, the Madden
Mm-hmm.
football game on there. I would put let's see. I'm trying to think of some other good titles. Perfect Dark.
Oh.
I would put
Mm.
yeah, Perfect Dark. I would put um let's see, Donkey Kong
Yeah, I did
64.
mention Donkey
I think I
Kong.
said that. Yeah,
Mm.
Donkey Kong. I'd put that on there, and then I would put let's see. I gotta think because this is really making me use my brain here. Um, I know I've not played N64 in forever.
Wow. 24 years later,
I know,
you're
right?
like, I
I know.
know.
Like I got to think of all these old
Yeah.
games that I've not talked about in years. I would put that would probably round out my
Selection. Mm.
yeah, and then I would just leave. Oh wait, yeah, Mace the Dark Age would be on there for sure. I'd
Oh,
have to have
yeah.
that,
You practically put the
and
whole
then
library on. You might as well. Except for Dual
and
Heroes.
then I would Yeah, dual heroes can. Well, that would be yeah.
Mhm.
And then I would put Diddy Kong Racing.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, Diddy
Mhm.
Kong Racing. So that way the Mario Kart people would be happy and the Donkey Kong people would be
Yes.
happy. No one could whine and complain. So after
Mhm.
that fan booking, what do you think of my selection of if there was an
I
N64
love your
classic?
selection there, dear. Love your selection.
I would pick. Would you pick one up though?
If I could see and if I had super bionic like game senses on and if I had my game face on, I would definitely pick one
I would probably pick it up just for the nostalgia, just for
Well,
nostalgia
yeah, that would be
purposes
cool, and then you
because
could just play it again
uh,
with other
granted,
people.
yeah, like because there's many consoles they don't have like capture. I would have to get a capture card and all that to stream
Yeah.
it, but I wouldn't mind because that's my favorite game. And Nintendo wouldn't screw it up like Sony did with the PlayStation Classic.
Oh.
Sony just had an opportunity there to really nail it home with the PlayStation, and they did not at
No.
all.
Mhm.
I remember, speaking of that, did you know that the Nintendo 64, they could have used
Oh
compact discs for
God.
that? They could have. And if they would have, that would have been a lot better than
Huh.
cartridges. They went with cartridges because they were less expensive to
Oh
produce.
yeah.
They already knew how to produce for
Mhm.
cartridges, but they have advantages cartridges did. You didn't have to worry about them getting scratched. You didn't have to worry about them getting um, broken. Now, you didn't have to worry about was them getting wet. If they got wet on the where all the chips and all that were, you were
Oh
screwed.
dear.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So yeah, that pretty much was the
Mhm.
N64. I remember the slogan "Get in or Get Out." That was an amazing marketing
Yeah.
campaign there. So, Denver Queen, final thoughts. What are your thoughts on this Nintendo 64 podcast?
Well, at least I learned something new, and I kind of wish I had some more time with a Nintendo 64. But I only played Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo, so I didn't really get to
Mm-hmm.
mess with those.
Oh, the classics.
Yes.
And if if somebody from Nintendo is listening, make a Nintendo 64 classic and don't use the C button. Use the C stick for Pete's sake. Don't use the C buttons. Although the C buttons would be nostalgic, and that's what they would probably go with.
Whatever. I want a joystick on a controller. Honestly,
Hmm.
the one thing
A C
the
stick instead of
button,
the buttons. Yeah,
yeah.
that would be the
Mhm.
GameCube, Manny, if they ever make one of those.
Yeah.
But if Nintendo is listening, make a Nintendo 64 classic. I'll buy it. I'll plunk down the money for it, even if it's like $100 or something like $90,
Uh,
$100. You've got my money. They would get my
oh
money
yeah.
easily for
Okay.
that. Uh, Even if nothing for the
Oh,
nostalgia value.
definitely. Yes. And honestly, I would love to. There's one blind guy who is streaming Animal Crossing for Nintendo Switch with a capture card,
Oh my
and
God.
I
Oh my
I think
God.
it's Animal Crossing for either PlayStation or Nintendo Switch. I don't remember which.
No, no. The Animal Crossing is not going to ever be on
Oh.
PlayStation. If it was, oh
Oh
dear
no, but
God.
oh yeah, right. So it's on
Oh
Nintendo
God.
Switch,
Yeah,
but this
Nintendo
guy,
Switch.
what he had to do was
Right.
use a capture card, and
Yeah, like I would have to do the same thing with the
yeah,
N64. Like all these
uh-huh,
mini consoles, that's what I would get a capture card for
stream
is
all that.
to
But
stream
but
all
this guy's
that.
like
But
completely blind, and I don't know how in the world he's able to play Animal Crossing because there's a lot of things that you can't
I
like,
know.
you know.
I think they got accessibility
Mm-hmm.
features packed into it. I think, but we're kind of
That's
veering off
okay.
topic here. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the N64 was a greget console. It's going to be 24
Happy
this
birthday,
year.
Nintendo 64.
Or no, yeah, happy 24th birthday. You're old enough to get drunk and go out to bars and
Oh.
hang out with all the other retro consoles and talk about old memories. But in all seriousness, if anybody from Nintendo is listening to this, I'm asking you to make a Nintendo 64 classic because I want one. There's a lot of people out there that want
Yes.
one. And don't give us limited. Give us plenty of stock so people won't go out and scalp it on eBay and crap like that, like they did the Nintendo Classic and the Super NES
Yes.
Classic. Yeah, give us plenty of stock. I would buy a Nintendo 64 Classic in a heartbeat. If anything else, just for the nostalgia value. So, Denver Queen, do you have any final thoughts before we
I'll
wrap it up?
turn it over to you. I think I've said my piece already, so.
All right. So, this has been the Nintendo 64 episode of The Blind Side. Next week, I will be doing a special edition of The Blind Side that will not feature Denver Queen, unfortunately. It's going to be one about the Kentucky School for the Blind with their Founders Day coming up. I want to do something special for that. So I'm going to try and get some people on that are from there, and we're all just going to talk about memories and history of the place and all that good stuff. And then the next week, I'm attempting to get one for the late great Ronnie James Dio together, which Denver Queen, I want you to be a part of that. So go listen to some Ronnie James Dio and get ready for that one on May 10th. This episode will be available on Spotify, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So, with that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening. And thank you, Denver Queen, for once again joining me. I greatly appreciate it. So, until next time, for Denver Queen, this has been Blind Metal Gamer saying so long, everyone. Stay healthy and stay safe. And I will see you on the next episode of The Blind Side.
Good night.
Good night.